I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, in your package you'll find the minutes to last month's meeting, August or September the 8th. If you have time to read, or if you would like to take a moment. After you've read, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept what was written.
Motion to accept, second. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of their acceptance, please signify by raised hand. Unanimous.
That's okay. You can like them.
First on the agenda, we have Ms. Polly Garlington. Polly, if you would.
That was faster than I thought.
Lady and gentlemen, I had told Donna I wanted to talk about some activities in the town of Sharpsburg, and because I was not exactly as specific as would have been desired, I promised her on my word of honor I would not ask any question that I expected to be answered tonight. I was rummaging through some old files, and I ran across this one. This is from the Times Herald, date Sunday, March 18, 2012. Plans in the works to revitalize Old Town Sharpsburg. It's a really good article, really ambitious, and it really sounded like a lot of things will go get done. Before I say anything else about anything else, I'm delighted to see that the library's finally open. When I was there, not a whole lot of people came. But I tell you who did come, there were a couple of children that were in walking distance that could come and didn't even have to have their parents there. And they came on, one little boy lived down there in the First White House. He came on a pretty regular basis, as long as I was open. So I'm hoping that because it's open, things will go pick up down there. I'm gonna read this because I got a lot. I'm gonna title this Truth in Advertising. Mainly because when something gets put in the newspaper, Don, I've got a copy for you. Oh, just go and know that. Okay. When something gets put in the newspaper, it is advertising of sorts, and that's how all these towns are to have all these fancy things in about what's going on and what they're doing and what's happening. But I think there needs to be truth in advertising. In the March 18th, 2012 article, what it said about City Park was, the town has purchased some land adjacent to the site, and it's talking about the tennis court. With work will begin within a few months. They also added there were plans for grassy park, walks, porch lanes, and a tot lot, and on and on. That was 2.5 years ago. And if you look at that, absolutely nothing's changed. No, more quoting, the town has purchased property in the triangle at Turin and Highway 54 with the hope that it can be used as grounds for the festival as well as the park throughout the year. Again, not a thing has changed. The piece of property looks exactly like it did in March 2012. According from the same article, Sharpsburg is also entering into a long-term lease on some adjacent property to create large enough space for a town festival. By midsummer, we should have that sited and looking beautiful. Again, that looks exactly like it did in 2012. In And about that long-term lease, turned out that long-term lease was for 1 year. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, you can call 1 year long-term. That's pretty normal for a lease. Commercial development was mentioned, but it did state in that it would depend on economic conditions. Oh, yeah, that's an awful while. It was said in one of the publications, not in this one, much later that year, that the city, this is a quote, the city council is making great progress in the management of Sharpsburg City Parks. I'd be curious to know exactly which part that was, because we don't have a city park. We do have a tennis court. It's pretty hard to imagine managing a park that does not exist. Now, this is not from the newspaper. This has happened during meetings when I was president. Every now and then it was something I suggested. Other agenda topic or items that have just vanished. The ethics committee, that was brought up probably a year and a half ago. And unless something's changed, it didn't happen at a council meeting. 3 or 4 of those members' term has expired, and one of them's on city council now. I brought up that myself probably a full year ago. Entrance signs to the town was brought up at a council meeting. Supposedly there was somebody was assigned, I don't remember who it was now, you can go back and read the minutes to see about that. And as far as I know, nothing's been done about that. Neighborhood watch was brought up by Councilman Davenport. And nothing ever happened with that. Although she did have 2 members at a meeting one night that I attended. Actually, it was a meeting that couldn't go on because there wasn't enough council members present at that time. And she had 2 people that were ready to volunteer. And they've never come back. I believe, I believe these are topics and issues that I'm not asking to be answered tonight, as I promised. But I would like these to, every one of them be addressed at the next town council meeting. It appears from just observation that most of the interest in the council is annexation and development. And those of us that have been here for a long, long time would like a little bit of attention to pay to the people that have been here for a while. Some of y'all have heard that before. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. Mr. Ray, next on the agenda.
Yeah, I have another copy, so I can bring it back.
Okay, I can make sure you get it back. I'll make a copy for you.
This is new. Thank you. I had just a couple topics for you guys. I appreciate you allowing me to be on the agenda. Thank you. One of which was historic buildings. This had an appeal. You can kind of, I only got 2 copies, but y'all can kind of pass them around. The one thing that we were looking at is always trying to find ways, you know, you guys have asked me, find ways that you can allow us to regulate the things that are in town without breaking the law, without, you know, doing something wrong. And we got with Donna, we're still kind of waiting on that from an appeal, but this was a document that states there's a historic preservation or whatever it's called within the county, that's now the 3 Rivers. They did a survey back in the 90s that basically, you know, did an inventory of county properties that were either historic or had the potential to be historic. And that's basically stating that all these properties, actually just about all the properties in Sharpsburg are in that sort of category that they have listed. I just listed the ones that are in question up here with bathrooms. But this just gives you an avenue to look at as far as going back now, if you do agree with this, that there is some historic nature or distinction with these properties, then it would allow you to go back to the codes, to the Georgia laws, if you will, to look at avenues to go through with the bathroom issue. And I'm not gonna get into that because I didn't put that on the agenda, but I am waiting on Donna to get with me on that, and we, agreed that you guys, there was a lot more information that we presented at that appeal. So hopefully that'll help. But I just want to make sure the council knows kind of where we're going. And that's just an avenue, as Clay has always mentioned to me, just like, look, find us a way we can make progress. We're willing to look at it. We just don't want to break the law. And I certainly understand that. I don't want to break the law either. So I'm just going to leave that with you to kind of chew on. And then Donna has more of the information, and I'm not sure how that works with that whole proceeding, depending on where we go. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, I hope to have that completed by the end of the week.
Okay.
And the council and mayor will also be aware of everything.
Okay. And I think, I think there are provisions to bring the whole thing to you guys if we're not understanding, or that's the way I read it.
Yes.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
how y'all.
it can go several ways.
How y'all read it. The other thing was looking at temporary buildings. And within, I have nothing against Frigid Frog. I think, like I told y'all earlier, I think it's the greatest thing in the world if somebody can sell Kool-Aid and frozen, ice, shaved ice and make a living at it. I'm just wishing, kicking, I'd done it, before. But anyway, having those temporary structures and a little small business, I just thought that would be a productive way to use some of our property that would allow us to use your flexibility in the codes that you guys have seen with Frigid Frog, allow us to do something up there. And I got a picture off the internet. I talked to Miss Jean. You can pass that down. That's just something that I'm trying to look at. And I wanted to kind of put that. You guys said, well, bring something to me, and we'll talk about it. And so that's just an idea of what, one of the things I want y'all to think about is within the codes. There's a interesting way that you guys have interpreted it. So I definitely don't want to go too far out on a limb with talking to people and getting people excited about coming down here without letting you guys know what sort of direction I'm going. But I would like to know kind of maybe if there's room for multiple sort of temporary kind of things like that. And at what level do you have to have a bathroom, be it a porta potty? At what level, like for that guy right there, he doesn't need any power. He wouldn't be in the dark. He wouldn't be, in the cold of winter needing, a heater or anything. But that's something that you see a lot of these roadside stands, and I just thought maybe that would be, bring traffic in, just create some movement in the town, and just wanted to let you know that's kind of where I'm going, but wanted to kind of help get your guidance on, could I do, 3 or 4, on an individual lot, or is that going to be a problem, or do y'all see some problem in the code before I go approach some of these people? Because I've got several folks that I think would be interested in doing something like that, but there are other kind of vendors, if you will, that possibly would be interested. And if you get one, and the success kind of grows on itself there. But those are my 2 things. I don't know if y'all have any comments, or how you would.
Reference to the stands, there's a couple of things, different ways, but I'm going to turn it over to Donna because we have discussed this at length, and she'll explain to you.
Well,
It depends on where they're put.
Well, the main thing is if you have more information about what you want, where you want it, I don't know what you want, and I can't look it up. I mean, it needs to come into the office. We need to sit down or email, whatever you want to do. And I need to go through our codes and make sure that it's permittable in this zoning district. Because there's different zoning districts around the town.
Right.
And some allow some things and some don't. So I need to know where you want it, what you wanna do, and everything, and then I need to look it up and then do some research on it. And that's pretty much how we do.
Well, originally I thought, because we were looking at, the temporary pole with power, that kind of started my thinking that, okay, I've got more options for different things. If people needed power, we've got that up there in the old festival lot across from Bridge and Cold Store. But the more I thought about it, I'd already thought about a fruit stand of some sort. I thought, they don't necessarily need anything. I mean, that doesn't look like that needs any power. So that lot up there was kind of my first thought. But if that's, old traditional historic district commercial and that's zoned differently, then we also have, have the land out there next to, the Picture Man, as Dad always called it, Eric. And,
On the corner down there, 54 and Main.
Right down there. So I mean, those are two options.
Is that still in?
I don't know.
What's
I'll just have to look that up.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up, because that's a good idea. And now, even this, if it was done with a lot of people in a festival type mood or atmosphere, fantastic. It would still be probably, we'll look it up, able to be held up here on the corner lots if it was just a single event or a double event or whatever like that. But a permanent thing like that, we'll look at it and see what that corner lot, that'd
Well,
be
you
great.
can take whatever you've done with Frigid Frog and just apply it to, a fruit stand, or possibly the other thing that I've looked at is kind of stuck my foot in my mouth when I told Miss Jean that I don't make a living off Walking Dead. But, if they're willing to pay me something, I certainly would be willing to do so. So we're looking at, I've got a lady from down in Harrelson that's got a lot of ideas kicking around, but like a little T-shirt stand or something. When these crazy folks come in and they got money to spend, I just let them spend it with me than anybody. So that's another idea. I had no idea that folks travel from as far and wide and as many as they do. But so those are just a couple ideas. Those are two locations. Apply whatever the Frigid Frog you apply to them, and then that would be pretty much. I could get you.
You'll just send me an email or something,
Yeah.
and then that way I can get stuff.
Okay. But that's all I have. That's just kind of where I'm going with that, and then looking forward to, working with you guys on the appeal, working with you guys on the sidewalks, and working with you guys on the bathroom issues as they go forward.
Good. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. What's that?
All right, at this time, if we're through with that, we'll go to our public comments. Please keep your comments down and directed, not a question and answer, if you would, please, but just state whatever you'd like. And we'll start back here on the left back.
Nothing to say.
Somebody got something?
Oh, no.
I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you do something about them cutting down those bushes up there on the side of the road?
Oh, they're on the
It's
right
the
of way.
privets, yeah, right on the right of way.
And there's a drain there, and the privets are growing out.
Wait,
Up by our shop
Yep.
on Terrence High.
It's between Ms. Mitchell's first place down there and our yard. But it's on the right of way, and
It's
the
on the right of
privets,
way.
the privets are just, they're terrible.
okay.
And there
If it's
is
on
a
the right of
drain
way-
there.
Yes, if it's on the right of way, we'll take care of it. If it's on Mr. Bridges' property, I'm sure he'll take care of it.
Well, if you find out it's on his property, let me know and I'll take care of it.
All right. Any other comment now? We'll take care of bushes one way or the other.
Thank you.
Ms. Jenny, please.
Yes, I've been getting a lot of
Take the podium
I've been getting a lot of phone calls, because I've been here like 15, 16 years, and people asking me, did the city councilman or the mayor do anything to me, make me move? No. Half of y'all don't even know. I remember seeing this guy pass by with the dog, and other people I don't even know. I didn't close my shop down because of you all. People are calling me and asking me that. You all haven't did anything to me. I closed my shop down because I wasn't going back down to 176 Chestnut. Don't nobody go down there. Two of the room, the seal on the floor is broken. My husband painted it. When we came, it was blue. He painted it red, trying to seal up some of the cracks in it. It rained in it. So I asked Mr. Bridges, when nobody coming down to Nancy's or mine, could I come up? He said, yeah. He even wanted Nancy to move up. I stayed here all those years, being on Sunday by myself. Set things out to make people stop if I could pay my rent. Still paying out my SSI check. And then, Ms. Bridges' joke, I said, at one point, you're gonna have to go back down there. I just got tired of him telling me this, but I knew I was going back down there. And you all did that. I stayed here, and I'm proud of myself. I had people coming. The council treatment bus was coming. Another guy from Sonoma was coming on the Turin. The Walking Dead folks was stopping, getting out. I got quilts and things now. I got the quilt for the Walking Dead. But after all this moving and all this here, I've been sick. They thought I had a heart attack. They thought I had a blood clot in my lung. I spent all Friday taking tests. Look, I'm stressed out, you know. I've been here, did what I could do to keep the time going. If I had left out, wouldn't nobody been here. I just got tired of saying you going back down there. And up here, I was up here working. All the peoples know. Snake was in the building. I was running to get somebody to come help me. Even run down to the monument and got Adams. Went to the field and got one of the guys with her bleeding, let me help me get the snake. Anybody could have got snake bit, you know, but I stayed, you know. Some of the kids that come, they could have got snake bit. Even myself, but I stayed. Even in the wintertime, 100 gallon of gas only lasts 2 weeks. So we had to sit in the car, because I couldn't afford to buy gas, you know. But I stayed here. Maybe because I stayed because I liked Mr. Bridges so and Miss Elmer so. Because I had a level with nobody, you know, didn't even come. And I enjoyed seeing The Walking Dead. And Joe did say, you need to get you another business, you're depending on Walking Dead. I'm depending on my customers I will to pay my bill, not doing my pocket, you know. Don't want nobody on the streets if they ain't buying nothing, you know. What? You all should be glad if anybody come to town. You know, but I got a funeral. I knew I wasn't going right down, and I said, I told my children when I got home, I said, I need to pack my stuff up and get out the door. So I would get a charge and show up for food with your Bridges. Thank you all.
Ms. Jean, thank you for your comment. We appreciate it. And we have a terrible loss of you being gone.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying all the time that you did. David, you have a comment, sir?
Not right now.
Got your new trash can today. Thank you. Ms. Polly, you have a comment? Mr. Bridges? Poll of council?
No one's contacted me this week.
I've had no contact.
Clerk, no? Okay, I don't have much, but I had prepared this prior to the meeting, and I circled a little issue out there. I wasn't going to go into any details, but I will now that you mentioned it, reference to the park. Originally, we were told if we did the engineering work, that the state prisoners would come out and help us, and they told us that we would have to wait a long time. We'd have to wait 6 months. Well, we waited and waited and waited, and finally they said we can't do it because of the budget restraints and personnel, so we just can't do it. So at that time, this was only 3 months ago, I went to the county and said, got them out here. They came out here, it took them a month, but they got here. And we talked to the county, see if we could get them to help us. They agreed to do even more than the state was going to do, or at least as much. So they're going to come out. First off, hearing that, we got back with IS&E Engineering. They worked up a plan as to how to finish the completed blueprints and all the final documents. And they gave us a price for that. Last week, I approved the price, sent back to them. Now they're working on it. Talked back with over there today to get Mr. Dennis to work with the guys at IS&E to hurry this thing along. So when we get the final plans back, then we go to the county with those plans. At that point, we determine how much it's going to cost and how much we can do with the money that we've got. Could be that all we're able to do is put in the park. Might have to leave off the pavilion and the gazebo, one or the other. But we're going as far as the money will let us go without draining the budget down. So that is back working again, I want you to know. I had a lot of other comments about some of the stuff you said, and some of it you alluded to in the very beginning when you said truth in advertising, because a lot of the stuff, but anyway, we're not going to go there. But I did want to let you know that we are working with IS&E, and we are working diligently with the town of Turin and as well as the county sewer and water authority to work out the long-term contracts with one or the other or both. So we've got a lot going on, but we're not just sitting around. I want you to know that. That's all I have from the mayor's point. Any other comments to come before the board?
Can I just say one other little thing on the park thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I was down in Lewisville. I used to pass, well, you know people that go down that way a lot. They've got the neatest little, teeny-weeny little park down there that all it's got is probably 2 picnic tables, a couple of places for children, and an overhead thing. Since it's going to be years in the making getting this big, wonderful park, why can't we have just a teeny-weeny, tiny little stripped down model?
Well,
And don't answer that now, and I
Did you get a picture?
Lewisville?
Picture? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be glad to get you a
No,
picture.
I just thought he might have took one, I just.
No, huh?
Now, I asked the county, I said, now, is this something that you can do within the next year or whatever? They said, no, we're looking at doing what you want done this fall. They said that they have a 50-something acre project going on in Sonoy that the county's going to be working on. But he says, your project compared to that is tiny, minuscule. So we can take a crew of 2 pieces of equipment and 1 supervisor and do yours even with that down there. So when we get those plans back and we look at the budget according to the plans, that we're talking about within a matter of weeks getting started on this. And once you get started and get the worst part done, the rest of it will be fairly quickly. So no, man, we're not looking at years down the road. But I appreciate your suggestion.
I just base that on the fact that it's been already 2.5, that it may be 2.5 more.
No, ma'am. Not gonna be 2.5.
One other thing,
Yeah.
this is Clay's little piece of property over there between the library. Why can't that sort of be, it's kind of run down right at the moment. And I know you're not supposed to have to keep it, whatever, anyway, that's your, it's a little teeny-weeny place, but it would be a place that you could have a picnic table or 2, and maybe just a tiny little covered area over there, and it's already there, and it belongs to Clay.
Well,
You gotta get into a grade.
I'll talk to Mr. Bridges. I will talk to Mr.
I'm not putting you
Cole.
on the spot.
No pressure there.
You can say no real easy.
How much money are you talking to do something like that? Is there any wild guess at
Do,
this
to
point?
do what?
To do the park?
Of the park, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 175 to 250 right now. I know it's a pretty big ballpark, but that's all I can give you. The county is not going to build a pavilion nor the gazebo. They said they don't have anybody in jail that can do that. And the concrete work, we'll have to farm out the concrete work. The rest of it they can do, unless we get Talk David into doing some of it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned about the water and current county. I would gather that there is no contract with an exclusive franchise with Turin still, nor is an agreement with the city, I mean the county, right?
We we kind of drew the line in the sand because they were saying, hey, we don't have a contract, and it's been going on, it's been ongoing for years. So we gave them, and both parties signed a 180-day agreement, contract
Return.
with Turin. So that will run out pretty soon. We have a 60-day extension if agreed upon by both parties while we work out the full. I have sent them all the points that we as a council and their council agreed on. All of the points that their engineer agreed needed to be done. And the last comment they made is they can't put that in the form of a contract. I said, well, you don't have a very good attorney if you can't put it in a contract. So that was as late as Friday. So we're working on it again this morning.
The only comment I have is my property has a meter tap location at Church in 54. It's only a 1 or 1.5 inch line. The lines are 60+ years old at this point for all practical purposes. In the meantime, we've got a relatively new 10 or 12-year-old 8-inch county water line on the east side of 54 that's much more advantageous to growth and just using our land that we've got in Sharpsburg. I have inadequate pressure in my own house, much less to whatever I might tap into on a 1.5 inch line off of Church Street. And in turn, has extremely limited capacity on an extremely limited life system that they have no money to replace.
Right.
And so I would, one, be really looking at what the potential is with the county, knowing there can be an adversarial relationship there at times with the county.
Okay. Would you please come put that in writing in my office?
We need that.
We need that.
Sure.
But,
Thank you.
please, but to answer your question, and maybe this will help council to come up to where we are, but when we went to the county and asked for water, they brought up what we refer to around here as paragraph 10. It says that they can't give water, the sewer and water authority can't provide water to any annexed property into a city unless it's agreed upon by the county commissioners. That's the one thing that they held out in their turning the water over to the sewer and water authority. Now, so what we're trying to do, and they told us in an open meeting with everybody in the world there, the fire department, everybody, that they would not consider letting us use the sewer and water authority water until we gave Turin the opportunity to service it, and they say they couldn't or wouldn't. In other words, what they said to us, make nice with Turin. Yes, sir?
The county commission has no legal authority over the county water authority, which is an independent agency, irrespective of the county, and that's against the law.
They do with that addition to that contract.
When was that added?
It wasn't added, it was in the original. Paragraph 10, I'll show you, just come by and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And they are
But
holding.
they're talking about annexed.
Yes, sir, that's annexed.
I'm not annexed, I'm the original citizen.
No, and we're working on that. We can, anyway, stop by and let me go.
8 inch versus 1.5 is not real good, and it devalues property and what I can do, or even add a toilet to my own house.
We know that we do not have enough water pressure, they do not have enough volume, and all the infrastructure is just antiquated, as you mentioned.
My daughter has permanent stains in her teeth from drinking rusty water as a child. At least the additional $4,000 with dental whitening process.
Serious, we need stuff like that in writing, so please stop by and tell us those things. That's what we can take to the county commissioners, and we can take to the authorities, that, hey, we've tried to make nice with Turin. We've done everything that we can to make nice with Turin. They can't do it, now, we want county water.
Turin's financially probably not capable of doing it.
They said to me Friday, the mayor said to me when I approached him on putting that contract together, they don't have it in their budget to pay their attorney to put it together. Quote. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, anything else come forward? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion.
So moved.